Hello friends and welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am your host Tom Downey. Some breaking news as we kick off today's show. Robert Quinn, he has been suspended by the NFL, as you can kind of see on your screen there. Quinn has been suspended by the NFL. It's a 2-game suspension for Robert Quinn. He violated the NFL's PED policy. That is a 2-game suspension, so it looks like there was some type of... It's only an instant 4-game suspension, so the fact that it's 2 games instead of 4, or whatever it normally is, it's 4, makes me think there was type of extenuating circumstance here. Either way, Quinn suspended 2 games by the NFL. This comes like 2 days later after Robert Quinn fractured his hand and it was announced he needed surgery. So now the Dallas Cowboys are not going to have Robert Quinn for the first 2 games of the year because it can't be a Cowboys offseason without a notable player being suspended. It's just not how things work. So now we adjust, and this is breaking news here, literally right as we came on air, so I guess that's noteworthy timing. Not great for the Cowboys here. DeMarcus Lawrence, he's banged up right now. Robert Quinn, now hurt and suspended. So I will update that depth chart note for you guys too, because you can tack on a 2-game suspension as well here for Quinn. Not great news for the Dallas Cowboys, and also rather unexpected news for the Dallas Cowboys, at least in terms of the national fan base there. So Quinn suspended, Tyrone Crawford's banged up. There's always a defensive lineman, too, who gets suspended. It always feels like that. Always feels like that's the case. So again, the breaking news here, we'll stay on this for a little bit longer. Robert Quinn suspended 2 games by the NFL for violating the NFL's performance-enhancing drug policy. Been a rough couple of days here for Quinn. There was the fracturing of his hand, he needs surgery, and now the player the Cowboys just traded for has also been suspended for 2 games. So not a great start to the day for the Dallas Cowboys. In terms of what this means, if there is a bright side, it's that the Cowboys do have depth at defensive end. They do have the ability to get by. DeMarcus Lawrence, he should be good to go for Week 1. Tyrone Crawford should also be back in time for Week 1, although to be fair, Crawford also facing his own potential suspension because of his role at the bar fight down in Florida. Dorance Armstrong, Kerry Hyder, Taco Charlton, Joe Jackson, Jalen Jelks are all fighting for a roster spot. The fact that you're not going to have Quinn for the first 2 weeks of the year actually probably helps them because he's not going to count against the team's 53-man roster. That allows the Cowboys to go deep at defensive end and then figure it out after the first 2 weeks. So Hyder has been getting reps across the line. Same with Dorance Armstrong. Same with Taco Charlton. We'll see about Randy Gregory. At this point, we'll see what happens at that point. I don't know if you can even bank on him, frankly, being there in Week 1, even if he does apply in the near future for reinstatement. So what's your guys' one-word reaction here to Robert Quinn's suspension? Mine was wow. Well, actually, it was a string of expletives because it happened right as we were about to start the show. But the PC version was wow because I didn't anticipate Robert Quinn getting suspended. This is not great news for the Dallas Cowboys. On the bright side, again, there is depth at defensive end, and the Cowboys' opening season schedule isn't that bad. It's a relatively easy start. I think they'll end up being okay. I see some ridiculous whoa, OMG. Rob says relax. Brian dropped the F-bomb in there. Lots of relax, concern, stupid, OMG. I think those are all, even though OMG is technically not a word or one word, I think the point remains the same there. Redundant, which is, I guess that kind of works there. Either way, Robert Quinn suspended for 2 games by the NFL for the PED policy. That's your breaking news right now on the Dallas Cowboys Report. We'll go back now to the rest of the planned stuff. Namely, some roster moves have been made by the Dallas Cowboys. Lance Lenoir, he was waived/injured just like offensive lineman Derek Puny was. Lenoir, meanwhile, along with Puny, will revert to IR once and if they clear waivers. Frankly, I think they're both going to. Lenoir, by the way, also needs surgery on his patellar tendon. So not great for Lenoir, who had fallen behind the pecking order at wide receiver. I don't think he was going to make the roster, but this does allow him to stick around for, in theory, 1 more year, and then they'll figure it out after that. Now, in terms of who the Cowboys brought in to replace them, 2 players. Number 1, tight end Marcus Lewis, that helps replace the Rico Gathers hole at tight end. They also brought in some offensive linemen, namely Juwan Bushell-Beatty out of Michigan. They did also bring in Lucas McNeil on Wednesday. The Cowboys needed offensive line depth, not for the actual regular season, but in the preseason, you kind of want to go like 15 deep, and like nobody can in the NFL because there's a dearth of good offensive line play. And that's why you see teams going, okay, let's find extra guys there. And the injuries have only increased today for the Dallas Cowboys. Brandon Knight, the rookie undrafted free agent out of Indiana, he was carted off during today's practice. Looked like a foot/ankle injury. His shoe was off. I don't have any further details yet on that. Probably won't for at least a couple of hours. But that's yet another asterisk equals injury on that Cowboys offensive line. Lucas McNeil was also signed on Wednesday out of Louisville. All about just trying to get through the preseason. Beatty and McNeil and these other guys, maybe they can make the practice squad if they impress, but it'd be a huge surprise if they ended up making the active 53-man roster. Meanwhile, at receiver, with where things are right now, it's thinned out a little bit, huh? Noah Brown still on the PUP list. Cooper's dealing with that minor bruised heel, but they're not going to rush him back at any time in the near future. Lance Lenore is gone. All of a sudden, the wide receiver depth a little bit thinner in terms of figuring out who actually makes this team. Your top five likely Cooper, Gallup, Cobb, Austin, Brown. One spot or so between those 6 guys battling for it. Or 5 guys. Math. Easy there. All right, speaking of math, get us to 30K here on the Cowboys Report so we can have a preseason Week 1 watch party. We're not that far away. Little over 200, which I think we can do. But if you haven't told your friends about the Cowboys Report, now's the time. And we'll have fun, by the way. During the preseason watch party, we'll engage, we'll chat, we'll do like some non-full-fledged mailbags, we'll ask a bunch of questions, talk about the game. It's a good time. So make sure you're subscribed and, have notifications turned on. That way you know when it starts. But again, get us to 30K here on the Cowboys Report. Let's move then to Zeke, and I'm sorry I have no real update for you guys. There's nothing really going on with Elliott right now. Stephen Jones says that he doesn't speak that often with Elliott's camp and says that's standard for contract talks, which is always weird to me because why wouldn't you just sit down and hammer it out? I don't know, but that's how contracts work, I guess, in the NFL. So the holdout continues to drag on, and the question remains, okay, well, who will blink first? Will the Cowboys up their offer? Will Zeke's team come back with, okay, we'll do this, it's a little bit less than what we wanted? I don't know. Here was Stephen Jones' quote, by the way. He was asked, do you have talks often with Zeke and Zeke's camp? And he says, very rarely. There's this perception out there about negotiations that these are ongoing talks that go on hours at a time. That's just not the case. You kind of set the boundaries of where you think it should be. You sit there and you think about it, and then you find a way to bridge the gap, which I think is kind of weird to me. Like, Zeke's not there. I know that the Cowboys don't want to give up their leverage and force another offer and end up upping it without the Zeke's camp responding, but it's all very weird to me. So what is your guys' one-word reaction to Zeke still holding out? Let me know in the comment section. One word for it. I'll give some shout-outs here as well. One-word reaction to Zeke still not being in camp for the Dallas Cowboys. Someone says trade. Moulton says really. Can't read that one, Javier. Can't read that one, Destroyed. Also, it's 2 words. Greedy, annoyed, panic, smart, buy, expected, why, pay, all these coming in here. Stubborn and disappointed. I kind of like those 2 as I cheat and, mention that there are several words I would pick here. Move on now to Dorance Armstrong. Some on-the-field training camp updates. And after Dorance here, we will head back to the note on Robert Quinn. Now, Armstrong has fared well at training camp so far. He's been an impressive player, and that's very good news for the Cowboys' defensive end depth chart. And the injuries and, of course, the Quinn suspension mean he's got himself an opportunity to make the team. Remember, Dorance Armstrong, Kerry Hyder, Joe Jackson, and Taco Charlton are all fighting for roster spots right now. You can now tack on DeMarcus Lawrence is banged up, not in camp right now. Crawford has missed time. Quinn is out right now with a fractured wrist, and as we'll get to hear more in depth in a second, he just got suspended. So all of a sudden, even just for week 1 of the regular season, you could have a scenario where you need somebody starting across from DeMarcus Lawrence. This bodes well for Dorance Armstrong, well for Kerry Hyder, and also Taco Charlton. This gives him a better opportunity. So here's my question for you. Who will have more sacks this year? Type C for Taco Charlton and A for Dorance Armstrong. Let me know in the comment section. I will also add the caveat, this is if only for the Cowboys. So, like, if there's a trade or something, more on that coming up, by the way, it will not count. It will only be for the Cowboys. So, C or A, let me know in the comment section. I see quite a few A's coming in, by the way, but the C's are starting to make back up. Also, someone put in a B, and I don't know who that is. Who's the B here? Doesn't make sense to me. Again, folks, the breaking news, if you're just now tuning in here on the Dallas Cowboys Report, Robert Quinn has been suspended 2 games by the NFL. I will make note that Robert Quinn's agent did just release a statement saying that Quinn tested positive for something. Of course, that's not really the news part there, but for something that he takes because he suffers from seizures. So, you know, NFL players don't ever take PEDs on purpose. That's not a thing. So, Quinn's agent says he tested positive for something he takes because he suffers from seizures, which, okay, but like if it's a prescription, the NFL knows about it and they can clear it. Look, there's always an excuse, right? 2 games does make, I think, an indication there is some type of like lenience here from the NFL, but still, that one's pretty weird for me. Either way, Quinn out for the first 2 games of the NFL regular season. So what is your one-word reaction to Quinn's suspension? Let me know in the comment section. We'll give some shout-outs here as well. Again, I don't know what the actual PED was. I doubt we'll distinctly find out what that is there. Josh says, what? Someone uses the poop emoji there. I like that one, Sean, there. Again, one-word reaction here. Antonio says stop. I assume that means stop doing that there. Let's see. Silly. There's some swear words in there. Wow. Damn is a very popular one. I think that all kind of makes some sense. Also, another note here. Thank you to my wonderful production team. Looking at you there, Jimmy. The drug used to be called so it wasn't actually a PED. It was a masking agent. And masking agents are not allowed by the NFL because of what they sound like. If you use a masking agent, you're trying to hide a PED. So, in most cases. So, thank you there, Jimmy, for that update. He didn't test positive for an actual PED. It was a masking agent to help hide, in theory, the use of a performance-enhancing drug. So, that's your update there on Robert Quinn. Suspended 2 games by the NFL. He's not going to play to start the season for the Dallas Cowboys. Today's show is brought to you by MyBookie. Head over to chatsports.com/Cowboys and use promo code GOCowboys for a 100% deposit bonus. You put down $50, they're going to give you $50 for free. Put down $100, they'll match it. Oh, by the way, even if the Cowboys don't have Quinn and or Crawford, still bet on them to beat the Giants. They're not very good. Chatsports.com/Cowboys, promo code GOCowboys. All right, super chat from my good friend Jordan Thomas, a longtime watcher here. He says, who are the Cowboys trading to reach 53? Well, great question, Jordan. We actually already had that coming up on today's show. Namely, we're looking at the offensive line and the defensive line. The report from Clarence Hill was that Dallas wants to trade a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. Now, the Cowboys felt that they have great depth at both spots. Now, that might have changed today because Robert Quinn just got suspended. And they also want to shore up an unnamed position, I would guess secondary, or if Zeke's not there by week 1, running back. I think safety might make the most sense there of the options, or you go weird and go get a kicker or something crazy. Now, looking at both these spots, offensive line is thin, but only for right now. In reality, McGovern and Zach Martin, I think they'll be good to go for week 1. And then all of a sudden, you go 10 deep, and 11 if you want to include Adam Redmond. So for the Cowboys, it does make sense to potentially explore an offensive lineman trade. Now, defensive linemen, well, it's a little bit dicier now, where DeMarcus Lawrence and Crawford should be good to go for week 1. Robert Quinn will now no longer count against the 53-man roster to open the season, and he's got extra time to rest up his injured wrist. The Cowboys like Dorance Armstrong, they like Hyder, they still have hope for Taco Charlton, Joe Jackson, Jalen Jelks there too, and if Gregory comes back, all of a sudden, that's 9 dudes who you either drafted or signed. And then on the defensive tackle spot too, Crawford I think is safe in light of the the Quinn suspension. Antoine Woods, Malik Collins, those guys aren't going anywhere. They drafted Tristan Hill early. I like Daniel Wise a lot. I think the team does as well. So even with the Quinn suspension, it's maybe a little bit less likely now. I think defensive line does make sense for a trade for the Cowboys if they're trying to find some help either at the secondary or even at running back if Zeke's still not there. But let me know in the comment section, what position should Dallas trade for? I'm just going to embrace the name. Don't make fun of me. D's Nuts says Collins and a 6th for Tevin Coleman, or Taco and a 6th for Coleman, but the Niners don't do that. McKinnon has already hurt again for them, which is just classic Jerick McKinnon. I don't think you're going to see them trading getting a late round pick and a average defensive lineman for Tevin Coleman. That's not really their MO there. I see some fullback. Safety, though, seems to be the most popular pick, which isn't much of a surprise. All right, let's talk about Brett Maher because we need to have this discussion. He has struggled too much at camp, has missed key kicks in red zone and 2-minute drills scenarios, and as of today, he is 30 of 36 in camp from all different distances, 83.3 repeating percent. Guess what Brett Maher is? He's an 80 to 85% guy. That's what he was at college. That's what he was in the CFL. That's what he was in the NFL last year. He was better than Dan Bailey. Here's the thing, though. He's not good enough. Cowboys have to go find, at minimum, somebody to push him that's not named Casey Redford. He hasn't done that well either. There are some free agent kickers out there. Matt Bryant is one of them. He is willing to come play for the Dallas Cowboys. Cody Parkey, who I would rather have Matt Bryant. You guys know Mike Nugent. You guys know Matt McCrane if you're a Kansas State fan, or Matthew McCune, or however it was said recently on air. And then Nick Rose, who worked out with the AAF recently. Here's the biggest problem when it comes down to the Cowboys and kickers scenario. Matt Bryant is a better pure kicker, but I do worry about him on kickoffs because of his age and his leg there. I would still go Matt Bryant, but it gets a little awkward when it comes down to finding someone that can also handle kickoffs. And the reality is, there aren't very many good kickers out there. That's a problem there for the Dallas Cowboys. So with that in mind, who do you want as the Cowboys kicker? Let me know in the comments section. I pushed for Matt Bryant. I focus and value actual field goals a lot more than I do the kickoff coverage. Chris Jones can do that, I guess, if he absolutely has to. So I vote Matt Bryant there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. All right, someone asked earlier about Taron Christian. We have an update for you guys. Namely, gentlemen and ladies, I think we have our Jameel Showers 2.0. Christian, who is a quarterback by trade, per Todd Archer, has been working with the running backs, wide receivers, and special teams in training camp. That makes him a Showers/Taysom Hill type. Here's the thing, though. I actually don't mind it. I don't think Christian's good enough to be a pure backup quarterback. But if a really good athlete like Christian is, can help you on special teams and or at receiver, running back in a Taysom Hill type, now that is worth exploring. I think he's still a long shot to make the roster, but you better believe I'm going to be watching him very closely in the preseason to see how he looks. Because if he's getting action on special teams, he just might make the team after all. All right, next up, Tony Pollard. Yes, it is now okay to go ahead and get excited about him and about him making an impact on the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, along with both Joneses, whatever it is, are hyping up Tony Pollard. He does offer you the Lance Dunbar type ability that the Cowboys haven't had since, Lance Dunbar was there. My biggest question mark / concern, I guess, is if Kellen Moore can use him in a creative way and get the ball in space in the way that Linehan did not use Tavon Austin. Here was the quote, by the way, from Dak Prescott. He's one of the most exciting players to me of this training camp. The things he's been able to do, running the ball, catching the ball out of the backfield, he's making plays. That's good news there for the Cowboys and for Tony Pollard. Now, I see what associate producer Brett is doing here. You don't have to use drink the Kool-Aid quite yet. You don't have to drink it there quite yet. But you can enjoy it a little bit. Just take a little sample of it. Not the full-on, giant bottle. Just like a little bit of the Kool-Aid. And just take a little sip and say, you know what? I'm going to be optimistic here. That's okay to do. All right, guys, use hashtag preseason. We're focused right now on Cowboys Niners week 1 of the preseason to get your questions on the show. That is hashtag preseason. A lot of you are already doing it, so use hashtag preseason. And also, get the Eagles fans in the comment section because I don't know why they keep showing up. But thanks for watching. Glad we live rent-free with you. All right, first up, Alfredo Hernandez. Do you think Dak will start week 1 versus the Niners? I don't think Dak plays. If he does play, it's going to be like a series. I don't think you're going to see much of any of most of the starters this week, and that kind of plays in here too. It's Family Guy's question. Who will be our starting O-line? I assuming for week 1 of the preseason, you're not going to have you're not going to have Zach Martin. I honestly don't know if you're going to have Tyron or Travis Frederick out there, so it might end up being Cam Fleming, Connor Williams, Joe Looney, Xavier Su'a-Filo, and Leo Collins, and then the benches quickly come in after that, mostly for Collins. I don't think he's going to play that much. He doesn't really need to play a whole lot necessarily. If Frederick does play, I think you'll see Joe Looney get some reps at right guard. I think that'd be a very smart move there by the Dallas Cowboys. All right, Johnny Lopez. Who will be the rookie standout during the preseason? Good question. On offense, if just hard about it, probably Tony Pollard, especially if he gets some chance to return some kicks and punts. You hope it's Tristan Hill. Joe Jackson's made some nice plays during camp, though, so far. Some UDFAs as well. Watch out for Daniel Wise and Luke Gifford. Just mentioning that one. All right, I don't know how to pronounce the first name. Is it Bijan? Let me know. The other way, Manzuri, which is a great last name. Do the Cowboys value Daniel Ross? They do value him, but if they could get a late-round pick back in a trade for him, I think they would take that as long as everyone else is healthy and playing well on the defensive line. So thank you for that super chat, my man. I appreciate it. Destroyer Dog, how many preseason games will we win? Not many. The Cowboys, historically speaking, are not a good preseason team. That's why it's okay to bet against them, because they're just not going to fare that well, and that's really okay in the end. All right, Andrew Purdue, do you think Xavier Woods will break out? I do. I think Xavier Woods is going to have a big year for the Cowboys. They desperately need playmaking in the secondary. And by playmaking, I mean interceptions and takeaways, not just great coverage and pass breakups. Forced turnovers, and Xavier Woods so far in camp has shown that ability. I think Woods is primed for a breakout year. All right, from your boys Chris and Kevin, a joint account, I guess. Do we have a top 5, maybe top 3 O-line with Zach Martin? That should be the expectation, yeah. If everyone's healthy, the expectation should be top 5, if not top 3. That means Zach Martin is healthy, Frederick is back, and he looks pretty good so far. Smith stays healthy as well, and there are no injuries to Sewell and or McGovern or Looney or Collins if those guys need to go there. So top 5 should be the expectation there. All right, David, does Jerry ever start enforcing the fines on Zeke? Great question. He can if he wants, and I think at a certain point he will. But I also think this for Jerry Jones. It's clearly about the money right now for Zeke. Jerry doesn't care that much about the fine stuff. So I think for Jerry, he would prefer not to, and he was really unclear if he was going to and asked about it. So as long as the deal gets done and Zeke's here in time for the season, I don't think you see Zeke get fined. All right, back now to the preseason side of things. Cowboys, Niners, some players that I am watching for. I saw this in the comments earlier, so I figured we'd do it. Tony Pollard, for obvious reasons. All of the receivers make sense. I am focused on John Vay Johnson and Reggie Davis. Those are the two, so far at least, that have had the most work with the ones. I want to see them be more consistent. Davis had a fumble in the blue-white scrimmage, and Johnson had some ill-timed drops. It's key there. Blake Jarwin, not just to see how he plays, but how much does Blake Jarwin actually play? Is he going to be out there a lot, or is he going to get like the starting limits? Because I don't think we're seeing any of Jason Witten. Very curious there. And I'll include him on offense. Brett Maher. If he misses field goals, go ahead and panic. I am allowing the panic button at that point because he has got to be better. Defensively, Dorance Armstrong, Taco Charlton. We just mentioned it earlier on the show. Robert Quinn, suspended. Lawrence and Crawford are hurt right now. Those guys might be your week 1 preseason starters, along with Kerry Hyder in that group too. They have a chance to step up and improve their play and secure a roster spot. Luke Gifford, Sean Lee said he's going to lead the team in preseason tackles. Make note of how often he plays on defense, and more importantly, does he start on special teams? If he does, he might make the team after all. Donovan Lumba, do not sleep on him. I know everyone's excited about Michael Jackson, and everyone's excited about Chris Westry as well. Don't sleep on Alumba there. And also George Iloka, who hasn't passed Kevon Frazier yet, at least not fully. That's kind of an issue for him. A, make an impact, but even more importantly, just making the team. So those are the 5 defensive guys I'm watching for. And here's my question for you guys. Will you watch the Cowboys vs. 49ers preseason game? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'll give some shout-outs here. I see Nick is going to, Afan, Beyond, Brian, Jonathan, lots of Y's in there. So, make sure you're subscribed, and we'll do a watch party if we get to 30K. I hope most of you will watch it. It's preseason, but it's still fun. All right, next up here from Sean. What will you be looking for from Tristan Hill during the preseason? I want to see, A, what unit he goes out there with, given that Malik Collins and Woods, I think, will play at least a little bit. I also want to see if he can be disruptive. That's what I want from year 1 out of Tristan Hill. I'm not too focused on his run defense for this team this year. Long term, of course I am. But for 2019, can he pressure the quarterback and make an impact that way on passing downs? All right, Pikachu fam. Do you think that Jason Witten is still elite after 1 year off? Well, he wasn't elite the last time we saw him. So unfortunately, no. I don't think that Witten is still elite because in reality, Witten hasn't been elite in a long time. Jonathan Lonzo, is there still a good tight end in free agency? No, there's not. That might change once we get to roster cuts, but your best 3 pretty clearly by far are Witten, Jarwin, and Schultz. All right, from Mark, what gives Jason Garrett a contract extension? I believe he gets it if we make it to the conference championship. I think that's about right. Somewhere in that range gets him in there. If he gets further, of course he's got it. If he gets to the divisional round and then Dak gets hurt, he probably gets it too. But that's your general baseline, I think. Has to go farther than he's gone before to get the extension. NFC's Tub with Moore and a question mark at kicker combined. Do you think we attempt 2-point conversions a bit? Hadn't thought about this before, actually, so great question. I hope so. I go for 2 every single time, and I go for 4th down almost every single time. Can you convert, 2.5, 3 yards 50% of the time? I would hope so. Therefore, go for 2. So I hope they go for 2 every time because let's get that extra point swing. That could be a real game changer there. Steven Johnson, could we see any trick plays from Kellen Moore? Actually, yes. And in fact, we already have. They busted out a reverse in the blue-white scrimmage yesterday, and I think today as well. They busted out some flea flickers. So yes, you will see more trick plays from Kellen Moore. And if he's showing those in camp, I bet he's got a few more up his sleeve. All right, Kenny Braxton, what's the deadline where Zeke starts to think about coming back without a contract? It's got to be game checks. He can't miss out on game checks. And even the ultimate deadline, I think, worst case scenario, week 10. If he's not there by week 10, his contract tolls, and he is now under contract for an extra year, even if he comes back in week 11. So I would still be surprised if Zeke skips regular season games. Anthony Carter, do you think we will finally use a read option? Oh, you guys are asking great questions. I hope so. Now, and this comes back to the quarterback side of things, Cooper Rush and Mike White, they're not that great when it comes down to running. They're a little bit more of your pocket passer type. But I hope that you do see some more read options. Taron Christian, mentioning him here right now. He's the number 4 right now, but if you don't see any of Dak in the preseason, Cooper Rush becomes your 1, Mike White becomes your 2, and Taron Christian has a lot more mobility. He ran a sub 4.6, I think, at his pro day, which I know it's pro day, but still. So if you really want to focus on that, maybe you can find a way for Christian White to be your backup third-string quarterback, special team guy, basically Jamil Showers 2.0. All right, Manster54. Will we see some Wildcat in the preseason? I don't think so. I don't think they want to show that. I do think it's in the playbook, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of it in the preseason. All right, guys, today's show is brought to you by our friends over at MyBookie. Get over to chatsports.com/Cowboys. Use promo code GOCowboys for a 100% deposit bonus. You put down $50, they'll match it. Put down $100, they'll match that too. That's promo code GOCowboys at chatsports.com/Cowboys. All right, Jonas, could you rate every rookie from best to worst from what we saw in camp? I don't know if we'll do every rookie. We will do winners and losers, so that'll kind of be my outlet there. Frankly, Pollard and Jackson, and Joe Jackson might actually be your top two right now, and then the guys who got cut, like Larry Allen, well, they're obviously worse there in the end. All right, super chat again from David. Thank you very much, David. What's a breakout year from Malik Collins? 6 sacks? How about 5 sacks? That would have been like that would probably be third on the team if he gets 5 sacks. So 6 sacks, I think, would be a breakout year. And if he can produce some tackles for loss, that obviously helps. But I think that 5-6 sack range, that'd be a breakout year for Dallas. And guess what? Dallas really wants that to happen. All right, Pikachu fan 920. Against the Niners, I think there's going to be a tough battle. Yes and no. It's not going to be like preseason battle. Or it's going to be a preseason battle. The backups are going to try hard, but they're not going to play for overtime. It's not going to be over the top. Also, shout out, I know it's the name, I'm going to do it anyway, D's Nuts for the super chat. All right, Keel Hayes, can Tavon Austin be a key piece in the new offense? Speed kills. I'll define key. Like, is Key making an impact? If so, yes. Is Key getting 50 touches? I don't think so. Not if you don't include the special teams. So he can have an impact, but I have a tough time seeing him becoming anything more than number 4 or maybe number 3, depending on how things go at the wide receiver depth chart. All right, Michael Caldwell, who has the most to gain from the first preseason game? I think it's got to be one of the defensive ends, like Dorance Armstrong or Taco or Kerry Hyder or Jackson. With Quinn now suspended for 2 games and Crawford also facing one, I mean, this could be an open battle for your other defensive end starter potentially. So Armstrong, Hyder, Charlton, Jackson, even Jalen Jelks, and they played Daniel Wise some at defensive end too. I think at that point, those guys jump out to me as the people who make sense as the most to gain. And then also I think the backup quarterback battle. Because I don't know this year, guys, if Dallas will end up taking 3. They might only end up taking 2. So that backup quarterback battle, Rush and White and Christian, who is going to be a Taysom Hill, Jamil Showers type for now, and maybe he's a practice squad guy, that's one worth watching. I also really want to see what the Cowboys do at quarterback in terms of how the snaps are split up. So which quarterback are you most excited to see against the 49ers? Type R for Cooper Rush, W for Mike White, and C for Taron Christian. I would not have said this 2 days ago, even a day ago. I kind of want to see Taron Christian, not just at quarterback, but how is he used? If he gets special teams reps, that's noteworthy. I do not think he makes it as only a backup, but as a backup quarterback, just utility guy, well, I think it starts to make a little bit of sense there because he's just not active to be backup, but in that other role, it makes some sense. All right, DeMarcus Rutledge. Who will get more snaps against the Niners, Mike Weber or Alfred Morris? I predict it'll be Mike Weber instead of Alfred Morris because Weber is younger. He needs more reps. Alfred Morris is a veteran. Like, he doesn't need 30 snaps in this game. Mike Weber could probably use it more so than him. So I think you see Alfred Morris get a little bit, Mike Weber get more reps than Alfred Morris. All right, Noob Gamer. Any chance of another signing for a free agent running back in case Zeke doesn't sign by week 4? If he's not there by week 4, we're freaking out every single week. There is a chance. If it is someone, maybe it's Ajay Ajayi, but I think for now the Cowboys want to see what Mike Weber and Alfred Morris and Jackson and especially Tony Pollard can end up doing. Super chat coming in here. Will Tony Pollard be the Alvin Kamara? I don't think he's gonna be Alvin Kamara. I don't think that's a fair expectation to place on Tony Pollard to suddenly be a top 5 back in the NFL. I put my expectations at Lance Dunbar. If he can be Lance Dunbar for you, I'm happy and I'm excited. But beyond that, I think that's just too much to ask. Although I do have some expectations, hence the Kool-Aid here for Tony Pollard. All right, guys, use hashtag Cowboys to get your questions on the show. That's hashtag Cowboys. That makes it a lot easier for producer Alicia to actually find them. So again, use hashtag Cowboys. That's how we'll find them. Like Michael Caldwell did here, also brought in a super chat. What is the overall feel of this team while in camp? Do they look and feel like a Super Bowl caliber team? Well, they do look like a camp team, to be fair. But again, the expectation internally is that this team can make a Super Bowl run. So we'll see. But I think that the team does have confidence in their ability to actually go that far. So we'll see what happens, but that is the expectation and the feel internally for the Cowboys. Next up from Jesse Gutierrez, will Pollard have as much gameplay as Morris, seeing he is doing very well at camp? Preseason mentions Zeke won't step up. I think you see more Pollard in the preseason. He might even start over Alfred Morris, by the way. It only really matters, I guess, in week 3 of the preseason. But right now, I would expect that Tony Pollard, regardless of if Zeke is there or not, plays more than Alfred Morris. He offers you more in the passing game, and then if Zeke is still here, there is a role for Tony Pollard more so than Alfred Morris. DeHunter136. Why does everyone dislike Jeff Heath? Well, there are 2 schools of thought. Jeff Heath is the ultimate black and white, which isn't how it actually works in the NFL. Everyone either thinks Jeff Heath sucks, or the vast majority think he is the GOAT. Like, those are the 2 mindsets. There's really little in between there. In reality, he's a low-end starter, really more of a number 3 safety. That's a valuable role in the NFL, but he's just kind of the scapegoat because he's the obvious weak link, I think, on the Cowboys defense. All right, David, who are you hoping to hide on the practice squad? 1 or 2 of those receivers, some combination of John Vay Johnson, Davis, Guyton, and Cedric Wilson. I really want to stash Daniel Wise. I don't know if the Cowboys can. He's a DT out of Kansas that I think Dallas had a 4th-round draft grade on. So I hope that it's Daniel Wise. Either Chris Westry or Donovan Alumba as well are my top guys to hide on the practice squad. Kenny Braxton. Did we get our D-line from elementary school? Our biggest issue is our own faults. Yes, for some reason, every single year, the Cowboys have a defensive lineman that gets suspended. David Irving, Gregory, might be Tyron Crawford too. DeMarcus Lawrence had issues. Like, every year. I don't get it. It's always something. And it's almost always something different too. It's just doesn't make any sense to me. All right, Aloy Conway, as I get a sip here. Heath or Woods, which do you like more? It's a no-brainer, Xavier Woods. I think Xavier Woods is the best safety, I'd say by far, on this Cowboys team. All right, Anthony Carter, how much of an impact do you think Randall Cobb will make if he stays healthy? A lesser impact than Cole Beasley, like similar-ish numbers, but just a little bit less. That's kind of my expectation there for Randall Cobb and his impact for the Cowboys this year. All right, I botched that name there. Bada Big Head. I botched it again. I'm sorry there. I don't know why the B's and the D's are just throwing me. I'm very sorry. Will Dak run the ball this year? I hope so. I think you see especially in the red zone, a bigger emphasis on Dak Prescott running the football, and that's a good thing for the Dallas Cowboys. So I do think you see Dak run the ball more this upcoming year. Now, today's show is brought to you by our friends over at MyBookie. Get over to chatsports.com/Cowboys and use promo code GOCowboys for a 100% deposit bonus. Bet on the Cowboys, not his preseason game, and it's bad of me to say, I'm going to bet against Dallas. Dallas historically not great in the preseason. Niners, they got good backup quarterbacks. It's weird. They'll be a better regular season team, but preseason-wise, I think I'm going to go with the Niners. Either way, that's chatsports.com/Cowboys, promo code GOCowboys. All right, TDC Shapeshifter. Who is starting at strong safety for week 1? Right now, it's going to be Jeff Heath. I'm disappointed by this and frankly a bit surprised, but George Iloka is having a tough time beating out Kevon Frazier. He is closer to Frazier than he is Jeff Heath. That's not good in terms of the battle of strong safety. There might not be much of a battle here in the end. Destroyer Dog, what are you worried about the Cowboys' regular season? Injury is always a big thing there. It's getting off to a slow start when Dallas cannot afford to. The early season schedule, frankly, is pretty easy. They got to start 6-2, 7-1 because the rest of the season, it's tough. A lot of playoff teams down the stretch. So that's my biggest fear for the Cowboys. And, of course, injuries. John Parker, how many games do you think Zeke will miss? I think it's going to be 0. I don't think he misses any games. Of course, I thought he'd show up by now. So I don't know, but I still think it's 0 in the end. All right, Chad Hogan, are the contract negotiations that Jones offered to the top 3 void now? That they are not void. They are just simply waiting to hear back. Now, maybe they're far enough along that they are deep in depth, and they are having to take their time in terms of a response and a counteroffer, or they're just being slow for whatever reason. So the status is TBD, but they are not void at this point. So Chad, you don't have to worry about that. It's just a matter of when the two sides make further progress. So we'll see what ends up happening on that front going forward. But as of right now, there's really no major update here. Back to David here again. With so many players in the last year of the contract, we can't keep everyone. How many comp picks do you think we'll get? You are capped at the number of comp picks that you can have. But it could be any combination of a 3rd, a 4th, and a 5th, and a 6th. Like that's doable for Dallas. Maybe it's more of 2 4ths, a 5th, and a 6th. But they're going to get comp picks next year. They're not going to sign other players. So next year, the Cowboys will get comp picks they can use down the road. Travis Clark wondering why Robert Quinn got suspended. That happened right as we broke live on today's show. But if you missed it, we'll recap it here for you because I know that's important stuff here. Robert Quinn suspended 2 games by the NFL. He has violated the NFL's performance-enhancing drug policy. Now, per a statement from his agent, it wasn't a steroid they tested positive for. It was a masking agent that came in something he takes to counteract his seizures that he apparently suffers from. So it was not a pure PED. It was a masking agent, which you cannot take in the NFL because in most cases you take a masking agent because you're taking PEDs. So Quinn suspended 2 games by the NFL. It feels like there's not going to be an appeal here either. I'll wait to get further confirmation, but I don't think there's going to be an appeal. Meanwhile, the Cowboys, all of a sudden, their top 3 quote-unquote defensive ends, if you want to include Tyrone Crawford in that one, well, they're all out. Lawrence, hurt right now. That's not great. Robert Quinn, he's hurt and suspended. Tyrone Crawford, he's hurt. And heck, if you want to include Randy Gregory as your other top 4, they're all out right now. So that leaves Armstrong, Hyder, Charlton, Jackson, Jalen Jelks, and you know what? We can include Daniel Wise there maybe as another option because he's played some DE in camp. But for at least for the preseason, because I think Lawrence will be fine for week 1 and maybe Crawford too if he's not suspended as well. There's some competition there to make some snaps early on in the year. Marker wants to know about the panic level. For Quinn, not that much. Maybe like a 4. He is coming off the injury too, so like he's going to get more rehab time, I guess. So he's not going to rush back. But look, your first 2 weeks in terms of this scenario, Giants and Redskins. If you can't beat those teams without Quinn, you got bigger problems than Robert Quinn being suspended. So, all right, super chat from DZ Nuts. Collins and a 6th for Yeldon, or Taco and a 6th for Yeldon. I like this trade idea because it gets done from the Bills' perspective, who have TJ Yeldon right now. I am not trading Malik Collins for TJ Yeldon. I would be willing to offer one of Taco and a 6th for Yeldon. I don't think you need both because, frankly, Yeldon waited a while to sign. He's not that great, but if you get him for Taco, sure, you got something back. The 6th-round pick, sure, that's pretty much meaningless. So, not Collins, but the 6th or Taco, I'm actually open to that idea. Michael, I'm going to say it's Lavis Count. That's definitely not right. Lavis County? I don't know. I'm botched on Michael. I'm very sorry. Will the Cowboys be able to sign their core players on offense and defense? It depends on who you count as the core. If you include guys like Anthony Brown, La'el Collins, Malik Collins as the core, then no, they can't afford everybody. But if you don't include those guys and you focus on Byron Jones and Jalen Smith and the triplets and all of that, then yes, they can. The cap rises, there is the money available, but at some level, you will lose players. That's just how free agency works and how everything works in the NFL. All right, Eduardo on Facebook, who has a breakout year for the offense? I think Michael Gallup does. I don't know if he has like 1,000 yards or even 800 yards, but I think you see Michael Gallup have a very good year and emerges as a true number 2 wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys offense. That's my expectation here this offseason for what I think we'll get, or the season of what I think we'll get out of Michael Gallup. I don't have what I consider unrealistic expectations, but I think I have realistic there of he is going to emerge truly as a number 2 wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, guys, question for you now. What is your favorite part of the Cowboys report? Let me know in the comments section what your favorite part is. Is it the engagement? Is it the live Q&As? The news? Let me know in the comments section. And speaking of fan stuff, I do have some shout-outs to give as well. From Dalton Hall, Nick Riley, Timothy Sweet Collin, and Clarissa Rodriguez. I appreciate it all very much. Thank you for the DMs on Twitter. Again, I'm on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. I see some other mailbag question stuff. Ooh, I think that's not a huge surprise to me. We try to engage with you guys. It's fun for me. I like hearing your guys' questions. I like to get good ones that make me think and go, maybe I haven't thought about that before. Maybe I should go about this way. So thank you guys all very much. All right, Tasman, 1503. Does Van Der Esch have a more impact than last season? Ooh, God. Yes, he probably gets a little bit of an increase in snap count because Sean Lee won't play as much in place of him. So he'll have maybe a slightly bigger impact, but to be honest, he was so good last year. You can't have like a huge step forward unless he becomes the best linebacker ever. Like, it's just incremental growth now is all he needs because he's already so good. Destroyer Dog, what position do you think we still need to improve on to win this season? Does play calling count as a position? That's my single biggest fear right now. And I have optimism, but I'm not drinking it quite yet, about Kellen Moore. But I'm not, I have to see it to believe it first. Like, I'm optimistic, but we heard last year for months, Dak-friendly offense, Dak-friendly offense. Then we came out for the entire year, and it was the same shit. So I think it'll be more Dak-friendly this year, but I am now choosing to wait and see. Robert Soto, if Dak goes down, do we tank for Tua? I'll also throw in Justin Herbert in that discussion. If Dak goes down, you tank. It doesn't have to even be for Tua. It could be for Grant Delpit. It could be for Chase Young, a pass rusher, or a receiver in like Jerry Jeudy. If Dak goes down, I have no faith in Cooper Rush and Mike White. So at that point, yeah, I'd go ahead and just tank and evaluate from there. And then if it's a quarterback, great. If not, we'll figure it out. Anthony Carter wants to know how Amari Cooper is. He has a bruised heel. He's fine. If this was week 1 against the Giants, he'd be out there playing. But it's not. So they're not gonna rush him back because there's just no need to, quite frankly. All right, from Big Head, do you feel any better about Jason Garrett? I feel the same. He's about a league average head coach, and you're banking a lot on the coordinator, which isn't what you normally want. So I don't feel overly confident about him, but I'm not like him. I'm not saying Garrett's the worst coach ever. Like, to be honest, I was after the Titans game this year. So I am feeling lukewarm or neutral about Jason Garrett. I'm not panicking about that at any means either. Also, shout out to Skeptical Fan who mentioned the Robert Quinn suspension. Yeah, 2 games. He's not coming back, at least until after that time frame. All right, Cowboys-Niners coming up now. Week 1 of the preseason. So here's my question. Which is better, the Bay Area's In-N-Out or Texas's Whataburger? Now, I have lived in both places, so I can say with certainty it is Whataburger. It is better. In-N-Out's fries are garbage. They taste like cardboard. If the solution to making your food taste better is to go animal style and dump all this other stuff on it, that means the food's not that good. The answer is Whataburger, as I am actually getting beaten in the comments section, so that's kind of a surprise to me. Let me know in the comments, folks, what you think. Also, if you missed the breaking news on Robert Quinn, that's all coming back up here right now on loop on the Dallas Cowboys Report. Cowboys Report, I am your host, Tom Downey. Some breaking news as we kick off today's show. Robert Quinn, he has been suspended by the NFL, as you can kind of see on your screen there. Quinn has been suspended by the NFL, It's a 2-game suspension for Robert Quinn. He violated the NFL's PED policy. That is a 2-game suspension, so it looks like there was some type of... It's only an instant 4-game suspension, so the fact that it's 2 games instead of 4, or whatever it normally is, it's 4, makes me think there was some type of extenuating circumstance here. Either way, Quinn suspended 2 games by the NFL. This comes like 2 days later after Robert Quinn fractured his hand and it was announced he needed surgery. So now the Dallas Cowboys are not going to have Robert Quinn for the first 2 games of the year because it can't be a Cowboys offseason without a notable player being suspended. It's just not how things work. So now we adjust, and this is breaking news here, literally right as we came on air, so I guess that's noteworthy timing. Not great for the Cowboys here. DeMarcus Lawrence, he's banged up right now. Robert Quinn, now hurt and suspended. So I will update that depth chart note for you guys too, because you can tack on a 2-game suspension